Welcome back to another hour of Scotch Hour. I'm Noah.
And I'm Jesse.
All right, this is episode 232. Tonight will be...
Is it 232 or 242?
Sorry. It is 242.
Okay. I'm like, shit.
I went back in time by 10 episodes in two months. But yeah, it is actually 242. And this evening we'll be... diving into the GlenGrant 18-year-old, followed by our shout-outs and get-it-togethers, restaurant review being Red Robin, and our Smarter Challenge being the best of Paul Rudd. Real quickly, if you like our content, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you to all those who watch us on YouTube, listen to us on those many different podcast platforms. We greatly appreciate all of you. Please like, share, and subscribe, and leave some comments down below.
Scotch review.
All right, GlenGrant. Man, one of the oldest Scotch whiskey distilleries in Speyside in the Highlands there. Oh, this one was originally founded in 1840 in Roth, Speyside, known for producing single malt Scotch whiskey. It has been owned by several, well, only a few companies actually, but Chivas Brothers Limited, who, if you probably know, does Chivas Regal, their blended Scotch. Currently owned by a Campari group, who purchased it at the end of 2005, so really started with it in 2006, and since then, Campari being an Italian company, this has become the best-selling single malt Scotch whiskey in Italy. GlenGrant was founded by brothers John and James Grant. Again, that's all the way back in 1840. They were formerly illicit distillers and smugglers that decided, hey, we want to go legit. So they applied for the license, got the license. They had all of the tools nearby. This was the great piece for them. They had barley growing on the plains nearby. They had the river Spey. They had, which was the best way for transport. So the port of Garamouth nearby. So they had all sorts of ways, not just to distill with the supplies, but also to transport, which was very different when we're talking about 185 years ago. The two founders didn't live too much longer after they had built this distillery, started and fired it up. So they passed away, the last of them in 1872, at which point their young Major Grant, who was born in 1847, and had always taken an interest, had a keen eye for these sorts of things, he inherited the business and ran it successfully until he found himself a future successor. He was known for being an innovator, for whatever that means for the time and age, the socializer, and well-traveled. He lived by his own rules and his own standards, which maybe it was the liquid courage. Who knows? Things can happen. New ideas fascinated him, and that's part of the reason he had so much fun. He built the tall stills. He did many things to get this distillery even more successful than it had been. So it's passed over time. And then in 1972, the Glenlivet and GlenGrant Distillers Limited amalgamated. So they came together with the blending concerns of Hill, Thomas and Company Limited and Longmorn Distillers to become the Glenlivet Distillers Limited. The original family interest in the distilleries was maintained with substantial outside shareholders, Courage Limited, the brewing concern, and Suntory, which we know is a Japanese distilling company. But so still owned by Campari, and it got a rich history and well known for being the mark, the standard for Speyside for quite some time. I do believe they have some tours.
No tours. They currently, because they are shut down for renovation. But when they do have a tour, It's approximately 25 Great British pounds, and you get 4 samples after the tour. But currently, like I said, it's shut down for renovation.
All right. Well, I'm assuming when it does open back up, there is Scotland's Malt Whiskey Trail, and this is along the Malt Whiskey Trail. It's a tourism initiative featuring 7 working Speyside distilleries, including GlenGrant, Dallas Dew, which is now a museum, and the Speyside Cooperage. BBC says visitors should take the time and enjoy this tour of the distillery and the warehouse, but I am sure it's not a very popular thing this time of year in the dead of winter. All right. Well, without further ado, we'll start to break into this GlenGrant 18yr Scotch whiskey. It's won a ton of awards 3 years in a row. It has won multiple accolades for being the best single malt, including the double gold at the TAG Awards in 2023 for unique whiskey, or liquid as they like to call it. 2022 double gold, 2022 100 points, double platinum, 2022 double gold. These are just some of the different awards for some of the different pieces it has gone through. So first thing I want to shout out about this 43% ABV. Again, this is a Speyside single malt Scotch, so it is Highland, but more particular Speyside. It's got a great presentation. It's got a great box. I love the colors. It reminds me of some of the high-end boxes from the Macallan, a little bit like the Lafroig. It's got this alligator almost like print on the front, on the sides, both matte and gloss with the blue and the turquoise. You open it up and there is a piece to hold it in on top so that as you pull it out, it comes out. It's a pretty phenomenal box. Nice, well done at the bottom to also sit it well and sturdy down there. The bottle itself, very traditional Scottish bottle. Kind of digging it. Great color to this whiskey. The label, amazing. The top, I can only imagine this will have both a solid wood top and a solid cork. So we'll go ahead,
a girl can always dream, right?
That's right. What's under the tree? Burberry and keys to a Mercedes. All right. Mark 1, that is a solid wood top. So we got a solid wood top. Mark 2, solid cork. So
called it. Well, I didn't call it. You called it.
I didn't think there would be any way they wouldn't with a distillery like this. And how we haven't tried one of these before for the show.
I'm surprised this is the first one.
It's besides me, because even their more simple boxes have great colors. And I remember a couple times years ago thinking, man, that might be good. Maybe we should try that. They've got all sorts of gold medals on the outside of the box. But no, we waited all this time and then didn't start shy of one of their top versions. Noah went and procured the 18 right off the bat, but it is well known. And again, this is one of their marks of excellence that others do try to compare themselves to and also compete with.
Well, I guess, unless you have any other words of wisdom, I guess we will move forward with our tasting notes.
Let's move forward.
And more speed, so cheers.
Cheers.
All right, this, first of all, I'm going to say I'm pleasantly surprised. And I'm kind of curious as to why we never tried one of these, a Scotch from from this distillery before. Because first off, the presentation. You mentioned it. You talked about it earlier. It's a fabulous presentation. I love the box, how intricate it was. In fact, I didn't know that top part slipped out at first, and I'm like, how do I get this bottle to fit back into the box? When I picked it up. But I eventually figured it out. I did. My mental midget mind did finally overcome the box.
I think she said something about that.
So, as we mentioned before, in order for a 5 to be given, the presentation has to be somewhat intricate, or has to be better than just a regular old box. And this is an elegant box. All right.
It's one that makes you want to open it more than once. That's for sure.
It definitely. And I do like the colors with it and stuff like that. So I gave it a 5 out of 5. The color here, I put it's a fair maiden's light golden locks found in a LARP's wet dream. So there you go. If you're a LARPer, this is a perfect color for you. If you're looking for a nice looking Scotch. Now, to really get into it, though, the nose here. Oh, I gave it 5 out of 5 for the color. The nose, I have. It has hints of vanilla and almond, along with banana peel, apple, and some lemon zest. That's kind of those are like the different aromas I received when I was smelling this particular Scotch, and I actually liked it a lot. I gave it 28 points out of 30. The body was I put here full body vanilla creaminess with notes of pear, apricot, honey, some lemon with a touch of holiday spice. And the way it coats your mouth at the very beginning with that creamy vanilla sensation, I thought it was great. I loved it, and I loved how the flavors panned out there, and so I gave that a 29 out of 30. The finish is long and lingering with some mild holiday spice and some a nutty sweetness that kind of lingers in your mouth, and I really enjoyed the finish too, because like there was nothing like super overpowering from the finish, and it just had like that really nice sweet lingering I guess flavor that had like with a mild like nutty undertone, like an almond, I think it is. And I really enjoyed it, and so I gave that 29. Like I don't think I've ever given a finish at 29 points. I really enjoyed the finish.
That's insane. Yeah.
So the grand total here is 96 points. Would I take this to Black Tie Affair? Yes, I would definitely take this to Black Tie Affair. Game night, no. Shelf, yes.
All right. I'm from now on, I'm putting in one extra sector here because I think this is also very interesting. Is this a victory dram?
Victory dram. Oh, it is not a victory dram. So I guess, well, first of all, to define what is a victory dram.
So one of the things Noah and I have long talked about is there are some phenomenal scotches out there, and some of the scotches I would consider in this line of phenomenal scotches would beat Dalmore. However, if I have a huge win or even a huge loss and I come home and I want a dram to celebrate in particular, there's going to be certain scotches where maybe they're not the highest rated, but God damn it, that's what makes you feel like a man. Like I won today, even though I bled. And that's, so I'm going to start putting that in there because I think that's going to help me long-term decide if I only keep 10 on my shelf, which 10 would they be?
All right. So I would not say this to me is not a victory. So like when you're talking like victory, kind of like what you're mentioning there, this is something like I imagine somebody from, I'm not sure if you ever watched the show Entourage, but Johnny Drama, when he finally gets a show that he makes when he gets like his own acting job, he always yells out victory. He's like victory, right? And he sounds like, it's all like manly and stuff. Like this is not that. This is on the other totally flip side. If you're looking for something really suave and elegant, I would say more like James Bond hitting it with a Bond's girl. This is the type that I would go with. It's just like more smooth and elegant.
See, I think the thing there is when I think even with James Bond, when we do see him with particular scotches, it's like 60-year-old Macallans or 18-year-old Taliskers. I think even James Bond wants something with a little more bite.
It's possible you want something a little bit more bite, but I'm just saying, like, I'm just trying to figure out, like, what would be something more like in the, like, elegant class. And I would say, like, or elegant type of thing. Because, like, this I can see, like, sitting, like, by a fireplace with, like, a dinner jacket and your dog and stuff like that. Just, like, sitting there relaxing in a dark room and enjoying the fire. You know? It's just more like, it's definitely not victory, but it's also, like, I mean, I think it's for a good occasion, but it's...
Yeah. I think it's definitely something to enjoy. As I go through my points, I've got 5 out of 5 for presentation. I'm right there with you. This box is dynamite. And the colors are fantastic. Well done. 5 out of 5. Solid wood top. Solid cork. Great label, great bottle. Not anything that makes me think short. Stubby bottle, so I like that. 5 out of 5. So for the color, man, this one is fun. So as I would say, this light blonde Scotch, how I would term it is, yes, Sharon Stone Basic Instinct is, in fact, natural blonde. It's a great color. It is a sexy color. It is not normally my preferred color, but man, it looks great and tastes great with this flavor profile. So 5 out of 5 for color on the nose. I think the nose is very, very good. Very good. Vanilla, the slightest hint of caramel, honey, right there with the caramel, and then the baking spice all kind of kicks in. And it took me a moment and then some to figure out what baking spices I was smelling. And ultimately it is just that. It's those holiday baking spices. It's a little cinnamon, a little clove, a little nutmeg, a little ginger. It's really enjoyable. And that also gives way to the scent of apples. And when I say apple, it's like floral apple mixed with great scents. Overall, the nose, a 28, very enjoyable. The palate was also my high point. I also gave the palate a 29. The palate I loved. A little hint of malt, caramel, vanilla, then kicks in some fruit of lemon and apricot. That apple floral flavor is brought into the palate from the nose, and then it's this little fruity piece that's kind of hard to describe because I also get the ever so faintest taste of muted raisin. But the palate is delightful. It's got that very creamy, smooth, wonderful mouthfeel. 29 for the palate. For me, finish was the low point. The finish is a 27. And for me, the finish is kind of like the palate and the nose blended down. And as they do, they mix. And because they mix all of those things independently are fabulous. But when they mix, they become a little muted. So it wasn't the finish I want. And I think that's where I think that victory Scotch might be different, whether it be an Ardbeg or another. So overall, my score, a 94. I also said, yes, black tie. I would take it to a game night if it was the right game night. I do think if you're unlimited or maybe you're limiting yourself to 100 bottles, most likely it's going to have a spot on the shelf. But with that victory dram piece, it doesn't have that kick at the end where I want it to. For me, and this is not for everyone, for some people this is a victory dram. For me, that victory dram is almost that creosote from the Ardbeg or the leather from the Lagavulin. That's what I want. Like, I want to feel like a fucking man when I'm drinking a dram after a win.
So you know that meme with like Ben Affleck where he just looks like he's just had a day and he has that cigarette in his hand? This would be the dram for that day, I think.
Maybe. Probably, you bring up a good point. This might be a fabulous Scotch with a cigar. Because the baking spice in there keeps it alive, the front of the palate in particular, even in the mid. So it's fun.
I think the apple's coming out a little bit more now. It's opening up some more.
Yeah, I didn't get a ton of apple at the front at the beginning, but I think the whole thing is opening up.
Yeah.
It's time for our shout-outs.
I'm just going to give a shout out there to all of the Formula One teams doing your best, keeping us excited with your little teaser advertisements, whether that be Red Bull and Ford or General Motors and Ferrari, or Ferrari in general, or Aston Martin racing with the Honda engine. I think Honda and Aston Martin might actually upset the whole damn grid this year. But I think what Ferrari's done with this forged steel alloy parts of their engine could also be super interesting. We're getting back up to high revving, high power, more power from electricity, active aerodynamics. The preliminary, again, teasers I've seen, these cars look very different. Very, very different and kind of sexy because of that. Sometimes change is good. They traded them in for a newer model. But I love the fact that America, Ford and General Motors are getting back involved in the sport that's always been the pinnacle of motor racing.
It'll be an exciting 2026 in more ways than one.
Or it could be just a total and you're all fucked. This one team took it. Whether it could be Mercedes. I don't know why. I don't have a ton of faith in Mercedes coming out and popping one out right now.
Weren't you saying the Mercedes is the one that is supposed to be so further ahead than everybody else?
They're actually saying Mercedes and Red Bull are the ones that figured out a tricky way to boost compression through different ways of manipulating moving parts in the engine. Good for them. And it's only...
And they're allowing them to keep it, too.
Yeah, and the report is that it's 13 horsepower, which doesn't sound like a lot until you're talking about thousands upon thousands of RPM maxed out around a circuit, 17 turns on many of these circuits, and constant acceleration. 13 horsepower can be the game changer.
So do you think any of these any of these engines will just go kaput in the first race?
God, I hope there's a little bit of that. Because, man, back in the late 90s, the early 2000s, if you want to race where a car didn't have an engine explode during the race, dude, that was a miracle. Lately, this past year, when you have an engine go kaput, it's what the hell happened? Think about the dynamic materials, structuring, cooling, everything that's going into these engines not to explode during a race like that. It's phenomenal. And then not even just one race. They get 3 engines last year for the whole year, and then they get penalized. And most of the teams did it. They didn't have to exceed those engines. It's phenomenal.
It is.
And drivetrains, imagine a normal transmission. Dodge still can't get it right in their trucks. All right, this week's restaurant review. We went to the Red Robin in Parker, and neither of us have been to a Red Robin in so long. It was kind of phenomenal. So trying a Red Robin together was an interesting experience. You want to kick this one off?
Oh, no, go ahead and kick it off.
All right. Well, driving up, the exterior is not bad. It's just not sexy. No exterior seating, which is anymore, that's kind of a drawback for me. But the parking itself was good. The parking lot It's not the parking lot, it's the accessibility, which is a little tricky. So exterior for me got a 6. Not that there was anything wrong with the outside of the building. Again, just give us some outdoor seating. So if it's a warm afternoon or a summer day, you can go sit out there. Interior, slightly better. The interior at least had some romantic elements, darker woods, darker tones. The interior got a 7 for me, only because it was a little run down on the tables, a little roughed up. Service. The gentleman that served us did a pretty good job. There was a little stall at the beginning of our experience, but he was Johnny on the spot for the most part. Afterwards, polite, friendly, did a nice job. I'm giving service an 8. Food, here's where it gets tricky. The food was good. How noteworthy was it? The fries are typical fries. However, mine were not perfect. They weren't quite as crisp on the outside as I would have liked. I went with the bacon blue burger, which was a really good burger, but when you're comparing it to other burgers, it didn't hit all of the spots. So ultimately, food is 7. Value, putting all the different factors together, the experience and everything else. One beautiful piece was that we were there during happy hour. So $6 beers were quite a treat from my normal $9 to $12 beers. So ultimately value, I'm going to give it an 8. And that's largely because of the service factor. He did a really nice job. I'm taking care of us. So overall, my score, a 7.2. Nothing wrong with this place. We went for burgers. It's not the first place I would go for a burger, especially when you talk about like the Griffin Tavern and some of those other places. It starts to really pale in comparison to some of those fabulous burgers we've had. Would I meet a friend there? Yeah, I'd still meet a friend there, especially during happy hour. Would I go out of my way to take a date there? No. Ultimately, it is not a destination. It does. I will say, they, of course, have to. We all have to change our menus from time to time. And through the 20 years that I have memories with Red Robin, 20 years ago, the score would have been at least a full point higher. But again, I understand that times are changing, shrinkflation, everything else is still a good experience.
The outside, I gave it a 6. Once again, it's not like run down on the outside. It would be nice if they had some outdoor seating. The parking lot was okay. Actually, it's probably a better parking lot than most that we've been to in a while. The inside, it's what you would expect from a Red Robin if you ever been to one or any kind of like large chain restaurant. Because of that, I gave it a 6. The food, I ordered the A1 Steakhouse burger. It was cooked to the correct temperature. It had nice flavor. I wish I had a little bit more of an A1 sauce flavor to it, but it was just like a mild A1 flavor sauce flavor to it. And the fries was my one drawback here because their fries, it seemed like we got old fries or something like that. Like they weren't fresh. And usually, I think Red Robin's kind of known for their bottomless fries. And I think because of the way their fries were done the first time around, it was kind of one of the reasons why I didn't want to get like another round of fries. Besides that, I need to lose weight anyways. I probably should be eating like 2 rounds of fries. But so the food, I gave it a 7. I mean, it wasn't. It's actually pretty decent. It wasn't like It was actually better than I thought it would be.
Agreed.
The service, you nailed it. A little bumpy up front, but he was great thereafter. So I gave him a 7 for that. Value, I thought for what we bought, I thought the value was a great price. Like the service was good, the food was good, so I had no complaints there. So I gave that an 8. Overall 6.8 is my score there. But I meet a friend there. Yes. Would I take a date there? Probably not. Is it a destination? No. And the reason why it's not a destination is for the very same reasons that you said. There are other places where their burgers are like next level. Like maybe back in the day, like 10, 20 years ago, the burgers that Red Robin has, those were like the like cream of the crop. And now, like as times have moved on, there's been other places that serve and have like much better created burgers than what they have.
This week, man, the best of Paul Rudd.
All right. I'm going to say this is much harder than I thought it would be.
It was. Actually, I'm glad you said that because I genuinely struggled with it.
I did too. Because I'm like, oh, he's a great comedian. He's got to have a lot of great movies like that I've seen. And then I started like looking at all the movies. I'm like, I've never seen that one. I haven't seen that one either. I don't know that one. And really, I was like, kind of like surprised by the different amount of different things that he's been in. And then on top of that, like some of the movies that I think were great movies, he was more like a side character and he wasn't like necessarily like the main role person, which made it even harder. So I still ended up choosing like some of these movies of the best of Paul Rudd, where he was one of the supporting cast as opposed to being the main guy. Because I think I had to.
Yeah, I think minus a few films, and most of the films where he actually that I saw, or couldn't see because I didn't want to, like spend $40 to overnight the movie to get it to be able to watch it. Where he was the main star, or dramas or more serious movies, not the comedian that I also know him for. And that was kind of one of the pieces where I was kind of torn, is I think of him in these movies, and then at the end of the day, he was like not only a side, he's not even like a supporting actor, he's like almost like a side character.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess I only went as far as 4 deep. I'm not sure how far you went.
I went 3 definitively, and then okay. I can come up with a 4th in a second.
All right, we'll go 3 definitive.
Okay,
and then we'll do a 4th as a honorable mention. We'll do the honorable mention last.
Okay, that sounds good. Because I think that is ultimately super fair. But a couple quick things here about Paul Rudd.
Okay.
Paul Stephen Rudd. He was born April 6th, 1969. So that
I thought he was younger than that.
I did too. So he's aging well. One of the fun facts is that in 2019 he was the sexiest or 2021 he was the sexiest man alive for People magazine. He's made Forbes Celebrity 100 list in 2019. All sorts of Golden Globe Awards, Emmy Awards, Screen Actors Guilds, Critics' Choice Television Awards. Born to British parents in New Jersey.
That is weird.
Right? Appeared early, and this is what's crazy. One of my favorite movies with him in it is fucking Clueless. He's like a side character.
He's like a side character, yeah.
But that was one of his starts. It was all the way back in 1995. And then we have Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers. And I do remember him. And he played the role of a person I hated in Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, Paris.
Yeah. Yeah, the chosen boyfriend that she didn't love. And then it goes to all sorts of comedies after that as you mature as a man and make some poor life choices, I'm going to say, but also hilarious ones until he got to some very more serious roles. But he was also doing some romantic comedies with Michelle Pfeiffer and other major leading ladies that I didn't even know about until this project, which was interesting, though, because it's also kind of like, okay, this is a comedy, but it's also real life, and there's some depressing shit going on that I don't want to watch. But it is great to know he's brought so much impact inside roles or supporting actor roles. That is a strength of its own in my mind.
I can't say anything better than that. So totally agree with that. So I guess we'll start off with our number threes.
All right. Number 3 for me. And I thought this movie was hilarious. Again, he's like not really the main actor, but he's one in there. And I just absolutely loved when he plays Gary Gooberson in the 2021 American supernatural comedy film Ghostbusters Afterlife. Because of his interaction with the mother and the kids, I thought he did a beautiful job making life look great. It's really uplifting. It's happy. It's definitely an adventure. It's potentially scary, but I loved his role in that movie, keeping it sane, being the man, and keeping everyone together. And I think that that's one of the pieces in many of his roles that when I thought about it, I'm like, Paul Rudd does a phenomenal job acting the real life of a man, because he is the man, but he's also where he fails in the movies intentionally, not where he fails as the actor, but where his characters fail and he supports that role with his acting well is when they are weak men. And yet he still can bring it back and snap back and be a strong one.
Yeah, that's a very good point. That's my number 2. My number 3, and here's the reason. I think I'm really fond of Ghostbusters, and I love how they brought back Dan Aykroyd and I was gonna say Chevy Chase, but that's not his name. They go to his house in Zombieland.
Yeah. God damn it. I can't remember his name, but keep going.
Bill Murray.
There we go. Bill fucking Murray.
Yeah. But I love how they brought it back, and like how they brought back some of the old cast. And I thought he did a great job of like being able to play that comedic part with some of those like all-time greats. And then, and still be like, be that like supporting like stepdad type of guy for like the kids and stuff like that. I love that role that he did there, and I thought he did a really awesome job. That's why that was my number 2, which is weird because it did beat out my number 3, which I think as a whole is probably maybe like a better piece of work as a whole. But I just love like his like chemistry with that cast and how he played that role. But my number 3 is him as Scott Lang and Ant-Man.
Okay.
And that's like all the Ant-Man movies. So I didn't like particularly pick one. I'm just saying like I just took it as like as a whole, and I think he does a really good job of like being a fun, crazy character, but like being a great dad to his daughter, like how he loved her and all that stuff, and supports her like even in the later like Marvel movies when she becomes kind of like a young adult, and but you see how much he cares for her and stuff like that, and that's also like almost kind of like a same kind of aspect though. And I just loved how it was such a fun loving character, and how he was like in awe of being with all the other superheroes and stuff like that. And but at the same time, like he held his own too. So I did like his character as Scott Lang in that, but like really like Ghostbusters and the Marvel character, they're kind of like even for me. It's like maybe 2A, 2B, but I just kind of liked his character in Ghostbusters a little bit more.
Yeah, I really loved his character in Ghostbusters. Ant-Man, the first one, Scott Lang, my runner-up. That was my runner-up, and the reason for that, to your point, is, again, just like these other movies, he does a great job, in my opinion, playing the role of someone who is a real man, who's had to live the real life. And it's not always easy. We have to hide things, and he has to do things to protect his daughter while also dealing with his own past, which is embarrassing and hard, but he does a good job. So my number 2, and I think where this is because I thought the first of these two movies was phenomenal, and the second one was just like one of the most depressing comedies I've ever seen in my life. But my number 2 is when he plays Brian Fantana in Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy. What is that, Black Panther?
It works 100% of the time, 40% of the time, or something like
60% of the time, 100% of the time. I don't think that works. I don't think that's right. He does just a great job, again, playing a goofy character who is like, man, it's tough. Anchorman being a 2004 American satirical comedy. He did a great job playing a supportive role and making it fun. He just did a really good job.
Yeah, he did. He did a good job in that movie. Although, well, I assume, I did watch, I never was a big fan of Anchorman. Maybe it's one of those ones I have to rewatch.
Well, that's because you really don't like Will Ferrell.
It's not that I really don't like him. He's just hit and miss for me.
Okay.
Like,
he was okay in Talladega Nights.
He was great in Talladega Nights. And he was also great in that, I loved him in like the figure skating movie. I forget what that one's called. With that one was
Blades of Glory.
Yeah, Blades of Glory. That movie was hilarious, in my opinion. Well, since you already gave your runner-up, I guess I'll do my runner-up before we give our number ones. My runner-up was, he actually wasn't acting in it. He did the voice acting of it. This is, he played Mondo Greco in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so he voiced a character for the Gecko who's a really off-the-wall and crazy character. And it's kind of funny seeing that character where the main bad guy, because he's actually part of like the bad guys for a while. The main bad guy was Ice Cube or Ice-T. I think it might have been Ice-T. And then he's like this annoying, like, idiot guy character that was part of like the bad guys for a while until he helps out the turtles. But anyways, I thought he played that voice character pretty well.
All right. Well, I'm only gonna throw out there that my guesses are number 1 is both the same. Then
I'm probably pretty sure it is.
Only because it hasn't come up.
I like boobies.
So you want to kick it off?
I'm gonna say it is. I'm going to say the first word, and you can tell me if it's the same as yours, and you can say the second one. Roll.
Yes, models.
That movie is so
Sturdy
hilarious.
Wings. It's one of the funniest movies ever.
I remember the first time watching that movie, I could not stop laughing. And the other guy who plays opposite him,
Sean William Scott.
Yeah, he does an amazing job in that movie too. And it really just starts off, I think, right away with with Paul Rudd and how he just goes ape shit on the fucking coffee
Minotaur.
Well, doesn't it start off with
the
in a coffee shop?
It's a 20 ounce, 30 ounce. No, it's a grande. 20 ounce. Venti, 30 ounce. Venti is 30.
The way he goes out, like that's like a classic scene that I always remember from like any one of his movies. When you talk about Paul Rudd, I think of like that scene, and then like how they he's not the one who ends up with the black kid. I think that's Sean William Scott, and those two together are hilarious. That little kid and him, but like he gets the guy who's like totally into LARPing and doing like the play action medieval stuff.
Yes.
And then you had that the Asian guy, Ken Jeong or whatever, who's like really a doctor.
Ken Jeong.
Yeah, the guy he plays like this total like douchebag king guy in like this LARPing community. But I think it's really great. It shows a lot of great growth though from Paul Rudd. Like not only is it hilarious and stuff like that, and he gets. And because of like what happens with the whole Minotaur thing and at the school or whatever with
after
him,
his girlfriend breaks up with him.
yeah, he after all that happens, he does like a whole lot of like life growth, learning to be like a role model to this kid, and it's great. It's a great growth in that whole character arc, but it's like pretty much nonstop laughs all the way through too, though, which makes it a really enjoyable pill to kind of bridge a semi-serious topic there.
Yeah, and that kid being the character's name Augie, played by Christopher Mintz-Plasse, something like that.
Isn't that McLovin?
Yeah, it's exactly McLovin. It's interesting because when I think of that Starbucks scene, I just think that's real as guys when we're like blindsided by rage. And he's just angry. Like he's just frustrated, you know, he doesn't understand. And so he's taking it out unnecessarily. Like who gives a shit what they call it? You're giving them your money. Take it. Like just deal with it. If they call it pasta rigatoni and you're upset because rigatoni already is pasta, just get over it. Because I have found several times where I'm just like, why am I letting this bother me? But it did, because I was already frustrated about something. It's just like, you know what? At work all the time, when you care too much, and I think that this is a thing. I do think this is a thing. I think Paul Rudd shows a character who cares so much because he wants to be in control, and everything's going the wrong way because he's not in control. That's when we start picking apart, like, why are we making life harder? Call it a 30 ounce, call it a large, call it a medium, call it whatever, but don't call it by some name it doesn't need to be. Simplify it. And I think that that's where sometimes as men, we really fuck up, is because we're trying to simplify things. And so we let the complicated frustrate us. And why do we care? Like, I've literally found myself at work, like, not my circus, not my monkeys.
Well, and I think that's why like Sean William Scott plays a great opposite of him, because he's like the totally carefree guy.
Yes, but he learns to care.
Yeah, but he does learn to care.
And Paul Rudd learns to let go of some of the goofy stuff and be like, hey, dude, like, if I make an ass of myself, who cares?
Yeah, and I think it's also good, too, because it shows like their friendship growth, too, because I think Sean William Scott was like, yeah, man, we could be buddies and stuff like that. And Paul Rudd's character was like, F you, dude. You're like a fucking moron.
Dude, you're a loser. He's like, I'm not the loser going to jail. Like, you don't want to go to jail. You want to go to Sturdy Wings. Why the hell do I want to go to Sturdy Wings? Because you get raped in jail. Sturdy Wings, please.
Oh, and the lady, that lady, she's hilarious.
Oh, shit.
The blonde lady, like the
Jane Lynch playing Gail. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, she's wild.
Yeah, she is.
She's like, I know. I had my wild days. You know what I had for breakfast? Cocaine. You know what I had for lunch? Cocaine. You know what I had for dinner? Cocaine. She's like, you know what I did after that? Cocaine. All right.
Well, that's it. That's all I have. I'm not sure if you want to add anything else. I think the one thing I will add here about Paul Rudd, though, there was a point in time before he made it big, he was a waiter at Bennigan's, which is the reason why we went to Red Robin, because that was like the closest thing I could kind of think of or find that was equivalent to Bennigan's that was near us.
Did he play a character as a Bennigan's employee at some point? Office Space.
I want to say he did, but I didn't see Office Space on his resume, though.
Okay.
And I think it's some guy that looks like him.
Maybe that's what it is.
But I could be wrong. Maybe he did do a cameo. I mean, it would be very possible.
I'll let it go.
I could be wrong.
20 means 20.
All right. Well, if there's nothing else for you, nothing else for me, what's our next week's challenge?
All right. You ready for this?
Sure.
To go see Pizarro at the Denver Art Museum.
Pizarro?
Pizarro. Not quite the Monet fame and fortune in life, but another huge named artist down at the Denver Art Museum for just a little bit longer, only for about another 3 weeks. So see the exhibit. I think the tickets, I can get them for like $5.
Oh, okay. Sweet.
All right.
I'm down with the underground.
I think it can be fun.
All right. Well, I've made it this far. Thank you very much. We greatly appreciate all of you. I guess if you do like our content, please like, share, subscribe, leave some comments down below. Let us know what you think of the GlenGrant or any of your favorite moments or movies that involves Paul Rudd. We'd love to hear your thoughts and about that as well. With that, I think Jesse will give us some wise words of wisdom as we close out this evening.
All right. Remember, life is great. That does not mean it's always going to be easy. In fact, those more difficult times, man, they build some of the strength we need to make the good times that much better. Do not drink and drive. Drink responsibly. Please remember to take care of yourself and others, as well as any loved ones you may have. And really enjoy life. Life is hard. Like, that's a fact. But keep forging forward and you can do great things. Until next week. Scotchman. Cheers.
Cheers. We hope you enjoyed this evening's episode of Scotch Hour. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. Also, if you have not done so already, please become a patron member, with memberships starting as low as $1 a month. Thank you, and hopefully you have a wonderful evening.